Everyone, hi. So the next topic which we're going to talk about is event handling, which has a short directive of at the rate or v on, and it comes in two flavors. So one is what we call is inline handlers, and the next one is methods. So let's go to the SFC playground. So the even I've created some examples for it also. So the inline is what is where you basically modify the what I say, like you handle the events in line. So I've handled the event of increasing the count in line. So if I click on this tish, it's increasing. But what the method handling is, let's say, let's take an example of any of this. Let's say parent. So this parent will run and it has a very complicated method. So what you do is you create a separate function, and yeah, so that is called handling it by method. Now let's talk about event modifiers. So in event modifiers there are many more. If I go to the event modifiers, there might be many more event modifiers. So event modifiers are nothing but which basically modifies the event. Okay, so it has stop, it has prevent. So what I will do, I will just take you some of the examples very quick, in which I found these three is very important. So self basically is you where it is useful. I will give you the demonstration also. So let's say you have a parent and you have a button. So if you click on this parent runs. If you click on this child, so if you click on this child, the child runs and then the parent runs. So why is this happening? So we don't want the parent to run. So what we do is we tell the parent that okay, you run only once you are clicked. So if I like if I click on this click me, now the parent is no more getting called, and only if I click on this red, this parent is getting called. So we have fixed this. Now let's see another instance. Now if I remove this, so this is our default scenario again. Yellow parent is getting called. Capture this, the capture event is getting called, and again the parent. Now if I use the capture here, things get quite different. By that I mean if I click on this, parent gets called. But now if I click on this, first the parent get calls, and then down to the element it goes to the capture. So, okay, so first it runs this, and then it goes from the first capture, and then it goes till down the capture. Okay, so this is what capture does in a nutshell. Well, now what we can do is let's try with another instance. I create another button, same capture this, and I will only run this. Now it goes to the parent capture, but it will only go down to that particular element which you clicked, not this one. Okay, so we have completed the capture. And submit is very useful for, like for a forms handling, when you don't want the default event handle, let's say a ref, or even the forms which actually reloads when you click on the type submit. So here it will prevent. So this is very simple. Now I want to talk about the self dot prevent and prevent dot self. Like you can use this in a combination. So let's go to that website. So what this says is, if we use the prevent, it will prevent the clicks default action button. Let's say imagine for the form element it will not reload, and it's children. Okay, and with the self it only makes sure that only once the form is clicked. That is what it says. Now in the self it will only prevent the click default action on that particular element itself. So this is what it means. So therefore in the prevent dot self, the default, it will prevent the default action to happen on the element and its children, while the self dot prevent will only prevent the default action on that particular element itself. So this is what it says. Well, now let's see another topic which I wanted to discuss. So I have written the summary here, so you can go through it. So and then we have something called once, which only runs once and dies off the event. And then we have self on the user, which I just showed you with a very good example. So now let's talk about event modifiers in a nutshell. So let's go down. I think we have completed the event modifiers. So we have to talk about the key modifiers. So let's say I've created a key modifier, and I only want to run this capture event once I press escape on my key. That's it. That's what it helps. Now let's say if I want to have any other arrow keys which the view doesn't shows it, right? So view only shows for the general ones. So if I go here, escape, tab, delete, left, right, blah blah blah. And remember one more thing, delete captures both backspace and delete. Okay, let's back to the topic. So what if we want to have something called page down, or let's say arrow down? So this is what view suggests is, if you go to this key values for keyboard guides under UI events, so it gives a list of events. So what it says is you can use a camel space when you have the button quite big, like let's say context menu. I think it will be context dash menu. Let's see one good example with arrow up and arrow down. So if I show you, mm, what I've done is arrow keys, and if I see if you see arrow keys how they have written here, uh, arrow up, aha, where it is, let me just check it. Ha, so arrow up, this is how they have written arrow up, right? So what we do is, let's say I type it to arrow up, and now if I try to run this, it will run it. So this is how you can use any of the event. Now let's talk about the combined. Let's say you want to have alt and enter together, you can write it like this. Now let's say there is one more thing in the key modifier that is called exact. So I've written also exact here. I think I didn't add it here. Exact is important, but it's totally up to the use case. So what the exact does is, so if I show you exact, so exact modifier, what it does it, so let's say when you click on this control, so with control, let's say if you click any other element, then also this will fire. Let's say if alt and shift, we don't want this to happen. We want only at that particular time control is clicked, that time we use this dot exact. And if any event is pressed, any key is pressed with this control, it will not run this. So this is what the exact does. So it's quite important at the same time. Now let's say, now this is a good example. So this will only fire when no system modifier are pressed. So you're directly doing the, what I say, you're directly doing the exact click, nothing else. And we have mouse button modifiers also left and right, that's an external line for. So yeah, that's it for now. And one more thing which I want you to catch here is the meta keyword in the event is very important here. So the meta in Windows is basically the Windows key which you see here, and the meta in Apple is this one, the command key in short. Yeah, so that is what the meta is. So yeah, let's see you in the next video. Have a nice day.